Now this is because we've got, on top of our large fighter group, we get a 50% bonus for our monster hunter. We got what, plus 10% because of our War Tech 1, and because we have such overwhelming numbers, we get an additional bonus, meaning that we lose even less. So now we've won that battle. We also get research points. Now this has allowed us to push propulsion instantly up to level 2. So we're going to see an increase in the range that we can actually see, because this is how far the ships can now travel. In just a moment. Just going to turn the game volume down a little bit. There we go. Now, we're not going to be able to travel to here until we get either an increase in propulsion, which will allow an extra one, or we create a colony here, which is what we're going to do now. Now, because we know it's a large size, large water planet, it doesn't matter the type, that just affects what your maximum population, how quickly you can reproduce there, but the large means we're going to have 4 slots in order to build. Now, if the planet was colonized, we picked up loyalty, which means, again, we get another +1 to a maximum controllable planets. Now, we can control a total of 5. Looks like we're not going to need Empire anytime soon. So, to start off, because we know this is going to be a very conflict-heavy game, we're going to make sure we build factory, make sure we build bomber, get a research facility out of the way, and we're also going to go for bomber factory again. This is going to mean we're going to have to create a very large and immediate output. Now, as you can see, we've got quite some distance. Now we can either swing over here to try and pick up that planet, or with the last of our movement, try and move to here. Now, as you can see, the movement what's left is shown by the red. So we're going to move over there, and as you can see, one of these bits, create base. Each of the colony ships can create a space station, which allows you to not only increase the distance which you can travel, but also you can assign special abilities to it, such as logistics, which allows you to collect some of the special abilities from these things just lying around, or it can increase the movement within the particular area if you start within there. But we'll probably have a look at that a bit later on. Okay, so we're going to end our first turn. Now as you can see, the opponent's just turned up, so we know that his home planet is somewhere down here, and he's populated that planet. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to split off a single fighter, because we don't need that much, and send that fighter. Oh no, I've done that split wrong. I'm going to split off a single fighter that way, and send... No, still doing it wrong. We're going to set off a single fighter, split off a single fighter, and then launch an attack. Now, as you can see, even with all the effectivity bonus, such as ancient defenses, which must be above the planet, the friendly planet, they have control of it, warfare tech, and armed colonizers, because colony ships have absolutely no combat ability, 0 multiplied by an additional 65% still is 0. So that means we handily defeat them. Now, we're not going to stay there, because if we stay there, we're slowly going to lose all our ships. Because sitting over a planet, they will slowly take away all the fighters, so we're going to move out of the way. Now with these ships, we're going to go and take over these last few ships. And there we go, we defeat the aliens. Now, we didn't actually lose that much, we only lost a single fighter, and we're just going to move the rest of our things just into place. And whilst we're here, we're going to form another colony. Now this one's interesting. Cheap fuel, that means that we get, not only do we get the increase in size for having the colony, but all our ships can now move an additional 2. So it means that the total area that we can now see is vastly increased. Now as you can see, this is their home planet, as you can see, 3 population. They won't have anything more than that. And that's their secondary planet. So one of the things is we can try and do is sneak around to this planet and try and contain them. Also, you see nearby they've got asteroid field and a small alien wreck. Now the alien wreck allows us to increase research speed. But for the moment we're not going to focus on that, we're going to go in and hit them hard and heavy. And also back on our home planet, as you can see, we've now got 3 fighters. This was the fighter production that we have going on our planet. As our population increases, this fighter production will increase as well as the research. So it's always good to try and maintain a high population where possible. This is where the gas clouds come in useful because they increase the population growth rate. So if we had spare fighters, which we do at the moment, we can maintain the highest possible population. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our fighters over to here. And if we look at our empire details, we now see that we've now got an additional growth rate of 6%. That means we're going to have a slight increase, a slight edge on how quickly our population grows. So anyway, we're going to end the term. Now as you can see, they engaged us. Because they attacked first, they get an additional 20% bonus. They had overwhelming numbers and they got the same tech level. It was hardly surprising, one-on-one battle we lost. So we're now out of the way and destroyed. So what we're going to do is we're going to send these spare fighters just over to there because we want to try and keep increasing this population as quickly as possible. And as you can see, instead of growth rate of 20, we've now pushed up to a growth rate of 21. Whilst it's not a lot, over time it can build up quite handily, especially because it affects every single planet in your system. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down and we're going to try and go for that planet, but what we're going to do is we're going to take out, just going to take them out because it gives us a few extra research points and also just allows us to, it's just quietly on our way. So there we go. So we went through, we destroyed the aliens, which gave us a nice healthy boost to our industry, and now we can found another colony. And there we go, cheap fuel. It now means we can now colonise just pretty much everywhere except within these 3 last areas. When we get the final piece of propulsion, we're going to be able to do that. So, cheap fuel, it's quite handy, but you don't want too many of them. Now what I'm doing is just going through, selecting the facilities, factory, bomber and research. Now one of the things is done, I forgot to do it on the previous. So we're going to pick factory, bomber and research. So now with the last of our movement, we kill the last of the enemy fighters and we get a little bit of environmental research. And also because of our production rate has increased with the increase in population, we get a slight increase to the number of fighters that we now produce. So instead of producing 3 a turn, we now produce 4 a turn. And we'll send those there to carry on boosting our growth. And as you can see, the growth is now going from 0.21 to 0.22. So as you can see, every little bit helps. Now the population has grown, propulsion has grown to 3, we can have a look. Now we can either carry on and increase our propulsion, or we can have a look at some of the other researches. Now, research industry, that will increase our ability to produce a number of fighters a turn. Or we could go for warfare, which increases the effectiveness of our fighters. Or environment, which can increase the speed at which the population grows and also the maximum population. Or empire, which affects loyalty. Now, at the moment, we don't need any particular need for any of those in particular, but what we could do is we could work on industry environment to get a hold of anti-gravity cities. So what we'll do is we'll put our research into industry, and we're going to start making a push for some of these other planets. Now, as you can see, we can hit these few fighters. That picks us up some easy research points, and because we won't be able to make it all the way there next turn, what we're going to do is we're going to stop off over here for one turn before swinging over and slowly